The illusion is dreamlike, yet all are engrossed in it. If you wrestle with a bear in a dream, your victory or defeat is irrelevant. So it is said that the illusion is unconquerable, even for Lord Brahman and Vishnu. Hello and welcome to you, wherever you may be on the planet of civilizational collapse. I have several readings today. In the first one, from the Paris meetings 1944, Gurdjieff talks about great nature and how she operates. And later on we'll hear about the hypnotic rhythm within which human beings are trapped. And I also have something from Chuang Tzu, where he describes the way of the ancient kings. Let us begin in Paris then. The exercise of asking the body for the substances necessary to bring to the face the expressions of kindness, justice, honesty, impartiality, and intelligence. It led me to reconsider each of the terms, particularly honesty. In the periods when my profession was less appreciated and paid less, I had more satisfaction in living, in inconvenience and discomfort. It seemed to me more in accordance with what I was, whereas today I have an easy situation, much more comfortable, and it causes me discomfort. No matter how much I consider the situation, I have doubts about my own honesty. I would like to have a life based on principles such that my livelihood is purified. And now, do you want to formulate your question? How do we see that we are being honest? There is a principle, a criterion. When you have given yourself your word to do something, and you have done it, you have a certain feeling of contentment. It is this feeling of satisfaction with yourself that tells you that you are being honest. Do you understand this feeling? Yes, but today in my material life, I must use cunning more and more, deceiving people, and it revolts me. That is external life. It's what you do with others. I've said it before. Today you must be an absolute egoist, a good egoist, for future altruism. Today you cannot give much to others, and if you try to do so you will not be able to change yourself. And you will remain what you are. You must make a sacrifice. You give up giving to the others, but you give yourself your word to give back 10 times as much in the future. You make that compromise. So you have 2 keys, 2 principles. Satisfaction with oneself and one's word to pay back much more later. Outwardly playing one's role depending on what the situation demands, and inwardly not identifying. Remember these two things I often say. If you are working inwardly, nature will help you. For the man who works, nature is a sister of charity. She brings him what he needs for his work. If you need money for your work, even if you don't do anything for it, the money will come from everywhere. At another, she will cut all resources if that is necessary for one's work. Nature is more intelligent than you. She knows better than you what the best conditions are for your work. And if you work, nature arouses conscious minds who arrange the necessary conditions for you. For the ordinary man, for the man who does not work, there is nothing but chance. But for the man who works, nature gives him all he needs through conscious minds. I think that must be the real meaning of Jesus' statement, to those who have, more is given. But for those who have not, even that is taken away. That is simply the operation of things. You see, in the modern world, people do come home tired. But knowingly or unknowingly, they live in a world where all real sacrifice and real effort has been removed. You use Microsoft Excel, you follow the procedures you were robotized with by your education, and you talk about net zero to make yourself sound nice. None of that is real. They are all procedures that you are following. It doesn't come from you. The world has collapsed into this theatre, this imitation of things. And so, although you may be tired, you did not exert your real self. And so it has no consequences in existence. Somehow, human beings end up like this. They are in a kind of dead man's corner, and then the civilization collapses. Again, as if it hadn't happened 20 or 50 times before. Unless a civilization can work out what the problem is, and that is our problem. And the answer is what is called the false self. This must be undone. If it is undone, all other problems will vanish. And if it is not undone, all other problems are like wrestling with a bear in a dream. Your success or failure is irrelevant. Why is it that God doesn't arrive here and fix everybody's problems? Why doesn't he travel through the whole universe and make sure life is really easy for everybody? Why? Why is because life is work. Life, to be alive, is to struggle. And if you are not struggling, it is because you are living of the earnings of people who did struggle. That is the whole crux of Gurdjieff's teaching. You must do. You must actually do something to assist this universe, and not an illusory something. So it's not about just awakening or knowing the truth. And furthermore, the idea of being enlightened, there's something wrong about it, because what happens after? Every man has to work, even if he lives at a higher level of consciousness. He needs people to work with. and he needs a culture of a higher level within which to do work, within which to build with light. Gurdjieff says this: "But there are 1,000 things which prevent a man from awakening, which keep him in the power of his dreams. In order to act consciously with the intention of awakening, it is necessary to know the nature of the forces which keep man in a state of sleep. First of all, it must be realized that the sleep in which man exists is not normal, but hypnotic. Man is hypnotized, and this hypnotic state is continually maintained and strengthened in him by the unconscious people amongst whom he lives. One would think that there are forces for whom it is useful and profitable to keep man in this state, and prevent him from seeing the truth and understanding his position. And once again, I would say that nature will help you as long as you are willing to help yourself, because there are no free rides in a universe where everybody must work. And everybody must connect with the higher light, which is part of the work of a conscious man. And even in the kingdom of plants, they have to reach for the sunlight, yearning and reaching and hoping for something higher. And they make the earth rise up to meet the heavens. Now, I was at the sink where I do my best work, and I was noticing as I was washing those cups, I was noticing that the moving center that moves my body, it is a little like a mole buried deep down in my body, but it moves my body, but it cannot see. To see comes from my eyes, and that information passes down through the trunk, through the feelings and my spirit, until it reaches the moving center that then moves my body in concord. An amazing thing. Everything in the universe is made like that, in separate parts, each one with a different responsibility, and working together, they make the magic happen. And sitting in the cafe last week, yes, I noticed once again the knife and fork are metal, shining. The plate is ceramic, which is like a liquid stone that is fired and fused. And the wood of the table is in fact the body of a creature of the kingdom of plants who has now passed and whose body is repurposed. And I can feel these things from here. What we call vision is not flat. It is not just like a painting. I can feel what is there. And if it wasn't like that, life would not be worth living. If you could not feel everything around you, you would not continue. Life is not flat. It is emanating, and you can feel it from here. And if I go onto the street and I see a building and I see a car, it is actually my moving center that is receiving that vision and converting it into knowledge of form. The moving center deals with the body with form, and it is that which understands form. My feelings don't understand form. My feelings understand feelings. My mind does not understand form. It understands the intellect. It understands conceptualization, but form, physicality is understood by the moving center. So when I say that I see a building or I see a car, what I'm really meaning is that my moving center is comprehending it, because the transmission of that vision is passed through the center. And now Changtzu, from his cave in the mountains. At first thou had no name. Words are not eternal. Because of words, there are distinctions. Let me describe these distinctions. There is left. There is right. There is relationship. There is duty. There is discernment. And there is discrimination. There is competition. And there is struggle. These are called the 8 virtues. Beyond the 6 realms of heaven and earth in the 4 directions, the sage accepts but does not discuss. Within the 6 realms he discusses but does not pass judgment. In the book of Spring and Autumn, the Chronicles of the Ancient Kings, the sage passes judgment but does not question. When there is division, there is something which is not divided. When there is questioning, there is something beyond the question. Why is this? The sage keeps his wisdom to himself, while ordinary men flaunt their knowledge in loud discussions. So I say, those who dispute do not see. Now the 8 virtues are called virtues by ordinary people. They are left, right, discernment, discrimination, competition, struggle. That is the life of the fallen people. Now the sage refers to the real man or the higher man or the true man. Within the life of ordinary people, he discusses but does not pass judgment. Because, as Gurdjieff would say, he fulfills the requirements of life on this plane. But seeing it also from outside, he does not judge it so much. He plays his part. But the ancient kings were noble beings. They had reached a high level through arduous effort. For them, they knew instinctively what is what. They judged and did not question. They knew because knowing was the prize that they had achieved. The sage keeps his wisdom to himself, his energy within. Slowly, or like the seasons, he cultivates his knowledge inside. I think that's enough for today. Thank you for listening once again, and please take care.